It's the Riot Podcast. This is the Monday, December 18th edition. Today in the show, we give our singles out there the three possibilities of a little Christmas fling they might find themselves in.
We also talk about why some people are suffering from major anxiety when it comes to ordering at a restaurant.
We finally find out what hooning is, and I'm curious to see if we have any hooners in the audience. Have you ever hooned? Let us know. 8772 RadioU.
And then we talk about the fastest robot of all time, and it's still much slower than humans.
Yeah. Good show today. As always, enjoy, and we'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, RadioU.
You know, a lot of people might have the week off this week. Not us. We're jealous, but we're here working. We're here with you. If you're still working, so are we. Good day, Isaiah.
Good morning.
Did you do anything interesting this weekend?
I had a grand weekend.
Was it a blast?
It was incredible.
What happened?
Everything that I hoped for and more.
Oh, yeah?
I made a little trip, a little sports weekend up to Cleveland, Ohio.
Nice.
Went to the Cavs game on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Blowout. We
For
killed
the
the
Cavs.
Hawks. Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Well, you were by 20 at halftime. They started to come back a little bit, but for the most part, held our own the whole game. And got the huge one on Saturday night, then woke up Sunday morning for the Browns game.
Oh, yeah?
And was that a roller coaster of emotions?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But with 9 wins on the year, just a couple games to go, the Cleveland Brownies are looking very, very good for the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm jealous. You have a team that seems like it's destined for the playoffs. How far will they go in the playoffs? Who cares? At least
Doesn't
they'll
matter.
be there, unlike Green Bay. So I'm jealous of you. Yeah, sounds like you had a good time.
See, the thing about, I was at the game yesterday. It was freezing cold out. It was raining for the majority of the game.
Yep.
I'm, yelling because the Browns were losing, and then we came back at the very end and ended up winning it. But I had no idea what else was going on in the world because, in the stadium,
Yeah.
your
You don't have
phone
to-
isn't really working anyway.
Right.
I'm just, taking pictures, but they're not uploading. And so I had no idea that the Packers lost till I
Yeah.
was on the way home.
That was, a typical disgusting display. Their defense it needs an overhaul. But we're not here to talk about how much the Packers defense sucks.
Yeah,
We're
what
here to
did you
talk
do?
about- So you may remember going back to our Riot Live Christmas party and listening to the shows last week. I was feeling a little under the weather, and I thought surely the weekend will bring me back. So Saturday, I wake up, and I'm feeling pretty good and not sick anymore. And so Saturday was the day my parents are headed back to Maryland to spend Christmas with the rest of my family. And so we didn't do Christmas with them, but we did Christmassy stuff. We hung out and had dinner and saw lights and whatever. And I was feeling good. Then yesterday, I wake up feeling yet again pretty bad. Now, I don't know if you can hear it. I don't think my voice sounds bad anymore, but I yet again have a sore throat. So I didn't have as much fun. But I did watch a lot of football. I also have a theory.
You have a theory.
I have a theory
I can't wait to hear it.
because not only did I was sick, now my wife has gotten sick, and so her voice is kind of progressed in the wrong direction. Or is it the wrong direction? You think sometimes when you're sick, your voice actually sounds better?
It depends on the sickness.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it gives you that little raspiness.
Yes, that's exactly the word I was thinking of.
That little rasp. That little deepened
I was thinking
rasp.
my wife, I don't know if this worked for me, but for my wife, her voice sounds I
little
like
better.
it a little more.
A little
And I said-
better.
but I think maybe that's just, it's God's way of making sickness easier on a couple because they sound a little better, but they're also way grosser. So if it wasn't for the sounding better, it would make
It'd
it
be
much
terrible.
more difficult. Yeah, exactly. So that's my theory.
I like it. I'm with that.
How was your weekend? Let us know. 8772 Radio. You do subscribe to my sickness, sexy voice theory.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
Bad news that the United States, we're getting shorter, and we've been getting shorter as a nation since the 1980s.
How is that even possible?
What do you mean? Like over time, as more babies are born and they grow up into adults and they get measured, like the average height of those babies that grow up into adults is getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense because we've gotten taller and taller over the course of history.
But as a country, we're shortening. I guess the rest of the world is catching up to us.
I think that means that the rest of the world is coming here and making us shorter.
Actually, that's part of the problem. Well, problem. That's part of the what is contributing to this happening is that shorter nations. This is according to the Washington Post. They've tried to nail down why the United States. You go back to the 80s, like the 1800s, I should say. The United States was like number one when it comes to the tallest people. We just had a lot of tall people here.
I mean, think about George Washington, 6'2". Back then, that's like 6'9". Abraham Lincoln, 6'4".
Yep.
Other countries, when we went to war with them, they were like, "Oh my gosh, we're going against NBA players."
That's
here.
right. We were
These
towering
guys are 7
above.
foot. Tommy J, 6'2". Our presidents were all huge.
Yeah. Now, granted, I think we still have a history of presidents even now being much taller than the average American.
Our first, how many presidents is this? Our first handful of presidents, all over 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
Lyndon B. Johnson, 6'3".
It's one of the reasons you or I could never be president. We're too short.
Franklin Roosevelt, 6'2". These guys were monsters.
So yeah, going back in time, the United States, even its early days, the 1800s, that was early on. And I guess the United States was known. It's like, if you're tall, you go to the U.S. But then, and that held true for years and years until the 1980s is when we started to see a downturn. And now our height is shorter than ever. So the Washington Post kind of just recently delved into why they think that is. One is what you determined, immigration. As more people from other countries that typically tend to be shorter are intermingling with us and reproducing, that's bringing our average height down. However, they also attribute it to obesity. Obesity started to spike. Childhood obesity started to spike at the very same time that our height started to dip. And lastly, they chalk it up to income inequality, because when you look at it, if you're making not a whole heck of a lot of money, you're not eating as well, you're less likely to grow as a child into a taller person.
Got it.
All that adds up to we're getting shorter. They say that like if the average height of a person with a bachelor's degree, you have to spend money to get that typically. That hasn't really changed since the 80s, but our average height overall dipping way down.
What's our average height? Do we know what the average height is?
I didn't have that in front of me.
They should have told us that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's here. I just don't have it in front of me. But, I mean, what do you think it is? Probably like 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, it seems about right. But I guess that's for probably men.
Yeah.
5'9", 5'10". For the ladies, probably like 5'4".
Yeah, maybe. Is this a major concern to you?
No.
Is it a concern at all? Or do you think it's leveling the playing field?
I think it makes no difference. Because if the average height goes down, that just makes, everybody's in the same neck of the woods anyway.
Yeah, but what if it becomes like what you said when the United States was towering over when we had a giant president?
Oh, we're going to be the little ones now.
Yeah, what if Sweden all of a sudden catches up to us and they start bullying us?
I feel like it doesn't make as much of a difference as it used to.
Not now.
Not now. It doesn't matter as
everything's
much.
like fought with drones and whatever.
Yeah, they're not fist fighting in wars.
Yeah.
You're not fighting with swords anymore.
I feel like it'd be better if we were.
Yes, it would.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on RadioU.
The theme today, Brad Pitt, because it's his birthday. Isaiah has your question.
On what soap opera did Brad Pitt make his television debut?
I'm going to have to guess just whichever soap opera I can name. And the first one that comes to mind is As the World Turns.
I was looking for Another World, which I'd never heard of that one
I don't know
before.
if I'm familiar with that.
It came out in 1964 and was on the air until 1999.
Wow.
Pretty long running show.
I know when I was a very small child, my mom would watch soap operas. So I wonder if she was watching that one. Back
Not
in the
one that
day.
I am very familiar with.
Yeah.
Let's hit some useless knowledge. A little rapid fire. Brad Pitt divorced from Angelina Jolie, and that lit up the tabloids. But which
Yeah, it did.
actress was he married to before?
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Love Hewitt.
Yeah. Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I was looking for Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, it's so close.
I thought you were calling her by some nickname or something.
No, that's another person.
Brad Pitt has never won a Best Actor Oscar before,
It's
But
just a
he-
sham.
but he has won as a producer. For what movie?
12 Years a Slave.
Correct.
Yeah, I remember that.
Brad Pitt also originates from a popular state, one of our very favorites. Which state is this in the United States?
I think I remember this from another useless knowledge. It's Missouri, isn't it? No, it's not Missouri.
He actually attended the University of Missouri,
Yeah, dang it.
and it kind of feels like that's where he originated from,
Uh-huh.
but we were looking for Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Missouri does claim him
Yeah,
as one of their
that's
own.
what I remember you saying. And then somebody from Missouri texted in and said, "We don't claim. I don't think anybody here claims Brad Pitt. You should. It's a good look. He's 60 years old.
He's an ageless wonder.
He looks like he's 30. It's amazing.
That's your Brad Pitt. Useless knowledge.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City.
Where's your friends today? 8772 Radio U.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow at Radio U Official. The Riot. Radio U.
We've got a new robot that set the world record for the fastest robot. The fastest robot as far as walking, anyways. Would you like to care to guess that they did this by a 100-meter dash? How fast a robot was able to knock out a 100-meter dash? What would you consider fast?
I mean, if it was going like 30 miles per hour, it's a robot, so I assume pretty fast. It's faster than any human can run.
You might assume that, right? It was nowhere near 30 miles an hour. Average speed 11.26 miles an hour.
What?
You heard me.
11?
Uh-huh. This is in South Korea. Their robot dog, they call it Hound, which I'm sure is short for something stupid, that just set the Guinness World Record, the fastest 100 meters run by a quadrupedal robot.
You just feel as if they could make it faster. It's a robot.
I don't know. It's a hard technology to master to get the four legs working together.
I guess so.
So it ran.
It's not very fluid.
No. Yeah, that's difficult. It's, it doesn't happen by accident. It took it nearly 20 seconds to run a 100-meter dash, which is average speed of 11.26 miles an hour. For reference, the average human could probably run this 100-meter dash in, if it was somebody 20 to 29 years old, 12 seconds, and that's average. Or I should say. The fastest is about 12 seconds, but the fastest for a 70-year-old, 17 seconds. So even the fastest 70-year-old could outrun this robot dog. And it looks like, 19 seconds is not all that far off from the average human running a 100-yard dash.
You would just think that by now, if we're going to be doing all this robot stuff,
Yeah.
it'd be a little bit farther along. But at the same time, it's a new world record. Should
Yeah.
we be celebrating this?
Should we be celebrating? I don't know. I guess a lot of people would hear new fastest robot and they would be fearful, perhaps. So I guess maybe we should celebrate that. Yeah, there's nothing to be afraid of.
They're so far behind us.
Yeah, we could walking at a brisk pace still get away from this thing?
Yeah, I would say for everybody who's hyped up on the robots, we still have a good ways to go.
Yeah. Who do you think is driving the ball more? Roboticists or NASA?
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which one is more disappointing to you right now?
I feel as if maybe NASA. I
Yeah.
still lean NASA. Because at least robots, I mean, there's always a robot story every week. Robots are doing something.
Yeah. And NASA can't even accomplish the same thing that they accomplished
70 years ago?
Yeah.
40 years ago?
But yeah.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Have you ever heard of hooning?
I have not.
I feel like it feels like a bad word, doesn't it?
Sounds kind of weird.
You say it.
Swooning.
No, hooning.
Oh, sorry. Hooning.
Yeah.
I've heard of swooning.
Yeah, of course you have. It happens all the time. Hooning is a big problem, apparently, particularly in Ohio, where lawmakers are trying to cut back on hooning. What is hooning, you may ask? For some reason, hooning is another word for people that will go ahead, usually I would say at night, and get in their cars, start doing like donuts, burnouts, things of that nature in the middle of intersections, in the middle of streets. They're hanging out the windows while they're doing this. And for some reason, that's called hooning. And apparently in Ohio, particularly, it looks like Dayton having a big issue with hooning. And so they're trying to find ways in the in the government to crack down on the practice of hooning.
Why don't you just pull them over, right?
Yeah, but I guess the penalties apparently are not strict enough, is what it sounds like.
Oh, it sounds like a dangerous action. It should be dangerous
Yeah.
driving.
Yeah.
But maybe these people don't care. Do they not care?
It seems like they don't care. It seems like because it's fun and they're like showing off. And so
They think it's cool.
if they get nailed with like a little bit of a fine or something like that,
it's worth
not.
it.
Yeah, right. And then it shows they have money too. It's like, hey, fine. What do I care? I've got this cool car. I can do burnouts in it, and I've got money to spend on a fine.
See, these are the kind of people I just don't understand because this isn't really doing anything for me. This isn't cool. If I saw you doing this, I wouldn't be like, oh man, this dude, he's tough. He's cool. I would be like, this guy's an idiot.
If I invited you out to, hey,
Yeah,
Isaiah, you want to
exactly.
go hooning with
Oh
me?
my gosh.
Would you like to go hoon tonight?
I would assume that we're doing like some sort of late night fishing or something.
It
If
does
you
kind
asked
of sound
me
like a fishing thing.
If we were doing like hooning, I'm like, what did we catch?
Yeah, or some kind of like new kind of term for drugs.
Yeah,
But
that's what it sounds like.
It's not. It's still a crime, but the crime is doing burnouts in the middle of the street, not even in like parking lots. That's one thing.
Oh, at intersections.
Yeah, in intersections, and it's loud and boisterous, bothering people, and obviously dangerous because it's you're holding up traffic.
They're like hanging out of the car.
Yeah.
There's like multiple people standing in the middle of the intersection. They're like taping a music video.
It seems
There's
like
smoke everywhere.
And they say that part of this trend is driven by YouTube. It does seem like a thing. Like I wouldn't be super pumped to go hooning with other people. If somebody was like, "Hey, let's go do burnouts," I don't think I would really be psyched about it. But if you saw it on YouTube, you might be like, "Hey, that's kind of cool," because you're not in the moment of like, "Wow, we're clogging up the street. We're doing, people are probably annoyed with us." You're just seeing it online. It looks cool.
Like if you were walking down the street and you saw people doing this, you wouldn't be like, "Whoa, that's sick."
Yeah, you wouldn't be impressed.
You'd be like,
You'd be
"Somebody arrest
annoyed.
them."
Yeah. But if you see it, I guess you see somebody doing this on TikTok or YouTube, it's got to be good for views, right?
Start thumbs downing those videos.
Yeah.
Get them out of here.
Uh-huh.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Hallie's juggling the Grammys. He's nominated for some. And Winter Jam Tour on the very same night. And more. You got to check out the interview, Radio U Riot, on Facebook and YouTube or in our Riot Interviews podcast. Text in if this is you, 8772 Radio U. I want to try to understand this. You have menu anxiety when you go out to a restaurant. I've heard of this where you get just very nervous, overwhelmed by sitting down at a restaurant, seeing all the options, and having to order for yourself. Apparently, 86% of people under the age of 24 say they've experienced menu anxiety. So just about everybody.
That's a high amount.
That's a high amount. 86% under 24, 67% of people overall, 2/3 of people have experienced menu anxiety. But here, get this. This is what's crazy. This is what I want to understand. That 1 out of 3 people under the age of 24 has been so anxious that they've asked other people to order for them.
No chance.
1 out of 3.
Who's ordering for you? Your boyfriend, your girlfriend,
Apparently.
your mom, your dad? That would be weird. Would that not be awkward?
To me, let's say we were out at a RadioU staff lunch. I would be much more nervous to ask you to order for me than
That
just
sounds
order for
crazy.
myself. Yeah.
What is the server
But
going to think?
I don't think I suffer from menu anxiety. So,
But think about this, though. If you're the server and I come over and I'm like,
yeah.
you guys ready to order?
Uh-huh.
And you guys like, yes, we are. And then he looks right at me and he goes, what would you like? And then you leaned over from across the table and you were
Yeah.
like, he's actually going to have the chicken tenders. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to sit there and like smile,
Give a thumbs up.
look at him.
I actually, you know what? You'd probably be so anxious, you'd real sheepishly, like, just give like a nod. Like, yeah, that's what
A
I
slight
want.
smirk.
He's
It kind
right.
of sounds like when one of your friends goes over to a girl and says like, see my buddy over there? And then you're like waving. You're like, he thinks you're cute. That is what that gives me. The same vibes.
Yeah. It's hard for me to put myself in these shoes. Menu anxiety, I suppose I understand a little bit. I don't know. It's a lot to decide, and then you don't want to get the wrong thing that you're not gonna like. To me, I combat that by looking at the menu ahead of time.
Jessica says, I'm 35 years old. This happens to me regularly. My husband orders when I can't, but it has caused panic attacks before.
Wow. It is I guess it's one of those things like, I think Jessica would probably say this, right? Clearly irrational.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
But at the same time, she has no control over it.
Yeah.
I think if there's two people, way easier to do.
Uh-huh.
Because he looks at me, he says, what would you guys like?
Yeah.
And then if I just do 2 orders in a row, right?
Yeah.
If I said, I'm going to do the smokehouse barbecue burger and she's going to do chicken tenders, boom, bang, bing,
Yeah.
it's over. But
Fairly normal.
if it's a group, I feel like it could be harder.
Yeah, because they go around and they look and sometimes they like point with the pen at each individual. And then, yeah, they point at you and you're like, pass to, somebody else.
Then it's harder. But if
And
it's just the 2 of you out, I feel like it's not that hard.
you think about this too. This is the type of behavior that, like Jessica's a gal. She can get away with it. Her husband will order for her. If you or I, like as a man, tried to pass this off.
As a man.
Yeah, we tried to if I had to get my wife to order for me every time we went out, that would, I'd feel like, I don't know, maybe that is, you play it out. Like, what is the waiter or waitress really going to do? What are they going to give you worse service?
This is even wilder. She
They're gonna
texted in. She said it happens when she's trying to order for herself more than for her children. Because like when she's trying to decide, so she can
Yeah.
order for her kids, but she can't order for
She
herself.
can power through.
Yes.
Well, she also, like, what does she care if the waiter judges what her kids are eating?
True.
Mac and cheese. But if she orders that herself, I don't know. He might raise an eyebrow.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, Jessica, you're not alone. Look to your right, to your left. One of those people also probably has somebody else order for
And the
them.
best thing is if we go out together, me and Hudson will order for you.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
We'll volunteer. Doesn't bother us at all.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
Looking at what made money and what didn't in theaters over the weekend. Did anybody get out to see this week's #1 movie, Wonka?
I didn't.
Not you.
Not me.
Not me. I have some possible plans that might come through after Christmas to see Wonka. We shall see.
In the works, huh?
It is in the works. It's in the factory as we speak. to possibly go see Wonka. It was number 1 at the box office by a wide margin. It ran circles around the competition. Timothée Chalamet as young Willy Wonka made $39 million in North America. Do you feel like that's good, bad, middling?
Solid.
Yeah.
Medium.
I think
average.
they could have hoped for more, but I think it's the type of movie, since it's a family movie with the holidays, I think it's going to do well over the next couple weeks. But then again, you think about other movies that come out that are bigger releases that come out at this time of year in recent years, and you're thinking 39 doesn't seem like that much. So we'll see. Next up, it was a big steep drop off to number 2, which was the new Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, now in its 5th week on the charts, making another $5.8 million. You still haven't seen that?
Still haven't seen it.
Man. Number 3 is last week's number 1, The Boy and the Heron. That's the anime thing. 4, Godzilla -1. And then number 5, Trolls Band Together.
You seen that yet?
I have not
Okay, I
seen
didn't know for
Trolls
sure.
Band Together. Actively avoiding it, actually. What is the last movie you watched? I'm sure over the weekend you probably didn't do a lot of movie watching because you were out gallivanting in Cleveland. What is
I'm
the last
trying to
movie you
think.
watched?
I've only been watching Christmas movies.
Yeah, likewise. Christmas
Exclusively
movies
Christmas.
and Fargo is what I've been watching.
Fargo.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been through a lot of the Christmas movies. I think the last one I watched was the Dr. Seuss Grinch, the new one.
Oh, the animated one, but not
yes. I think that's the last
And
one I
how
watched.
was that? How was
I
that?
like that movie.
That one, I think I've said this before, years ago, tried to watch it because it was on Netflix. I was like, I haven't seen this yet. And then like 10 minutes in, there was singing, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't have to watch this. And so I turned it off. But I feel like I might have been too harsh. Maybe I need to give it another
I
shot.
think it's good.
Yeah, you liked it?
I've watched it the past couple of years every Christmas. It's that good.
so
But I'm
what-
also a big fan of the Grinch, so
yeah,
I'm
well,
biased.
I like the old Grinch. What did I watch in the last few days? Christmas movie wise, I watched Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, which is on Amazon Prime. Good music in that one. Not as Christmassy as you might think based off of the name. It takes place at Christmas time. It's not as Christmassy. It's like Made by the Muppet people.
Mm.
It's from a while ago. I also watched, the Santa Claus is Coming to Town
Yes.
with the puppets, the marionettes or whatever. That's also good music in there. Good music.
You watched that this weekend,
I
too?
did watch that this
You
weekend.
had a weird little weekend, didn't you?
And, I also watched the Jim Carrey animated Christmas Carol. Does anybody agree with this? I've never seen that before. It's a very faithful adaptation of like the Christmas Carol, like they're talking in British talk and whatever.
Mhm.
Like, would it be for my whatever is how, Jim Carrey's talking. That's all well and good. But I guess because it's animated, they went shockingly scary with it.
Oh, with Jim Carrey's character?
Yeah, with like the ghosts and
Yeah.
stuff. I was not expecting. I thought it was like, for kids.
Spirited, jolly holiday Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I know the story of the Christmas Carol. I've never been frightened by it before, and I watched that. I was like, this is a little like if I wasn't a grown man, I might be a little scared.
Could
Anyone
be the
else?
last movie of the night.
Yeah. Anyone else get those vibes? Let us know what you watched. 8772 Radio U.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow at Radio U Official. The Riot. Radio U.
Now, we've hit that time of year where if you're single, you probably accepted for Christmas, it's going to stay that way, right?
You'd have to think so.
Wrong. I have here from a dating expert 3 possible scenarios of a little holiday fling that you could find yourself in.
The buzzer beater.
Yes,
The
that's
last
right. The
second
buzzer
call.
beater. I don't know if they're going to bring this person that you may find yourself entangled with to family Christmas, but there is still opportunities for things to blossom here in as we head into the holidays that are uniquely Christmassy ways to get involved with somebody. You ready for these?
I can't wait.
Number 1. This one's getting very late in the game for this one, but the Christmas party crush. Maybe you have an office Christmas party or some other Christmas party that you're attending, and it just so happens somebody else there, like that could be a great place to mingle with someone else who happens to be single because you're both kind of there. You don't have your plus one. You know, what are the chances are your paths cross? Maybe things work out a little bit.
The Christmas party.
Yeah.
Shoot your shot.
That's right.
Are we looking at the work Christmas party or your friend Christmas party?
I think any.
Oh, you're going either.
Where you may interact with other singles. I guess the office one particularly.
That's an HR violation if you ask me.
It could be, but what are Christmas parties for?
But I mean, we have a week left. You know,
That's
we gotta
right.
take the risk.
And what
This
are
is
they
where
gonna?
we're at now.
They're not going to call you into a meeting on December 24th. Well, I guess that's Christmas Eve. They're not going to call you into a meeting on the
You're
last
right.
day before Christmas.
You're probably off all next week anyway.
Yeah,
and
so
then
that'll give
it's
time
the
to
new
simmer
year.
down.
People forget.
Yeah, so if you want to kiss under the mistletoe with somebody from the office party, go for it.
Everyone will forget by January 5th.
That's right. Even the person you kiss, possibly. Number 2, this is a big one that this is gonna be this week and next week are huge time for hometown throwbacks.
Dangerous.
If you moved out of town, you've been away at college or something like that, now you come back to mom and dad's house, and that person from high school never quite worked out with, but maybe you happen to cross paths with them, or maybe this is a time where you reach out to them because it's like, oh, hey, I happen to be back in town. Didn't know if you wanted to do something. This is prime time for that. It may not be a long-term thing because after the holidays, you go back your separate ways. But for now, it's at least something cute to keep you occupied.
That's a Ryan Reynolds Christmas movie.
Which one is that?
Just Friends.
That's right. I saw why did that come into my frame of reference the other day? I don't know. I saw that and I was like, I should watch that.
You come back to your hometown. Maybe you're
Yeah.
feeling like a hot shot all of a sudden. Go hit up your old crush. She never gave you a chance. How about now?
Mm-hmm. And the last one, this is the one that's most familiar to me. This also kind of revolves around heading back to your parents' house. The Christmas textationship.
What's going on here?
Where you're not actually hanging out with somebody, but it's somebody that all of a sudden, with the holidays, you're in different surroundings, and you find yourself also, you're not working, like you got a lot more time in your hands, a lot more time to text that person that you kind of chatted with a little bit, and you just get into like serious texting, like you guys constant. I've been through a Christmas or two where this was the case.
Oh, some serious texting.
Just a lot of
that's
texting. You're just a lot of conversations going on because you just got a lot of downtime, and that can accelerate the relationship into the new year. For when you head back to your normal surroundings, and then you have a decision to make. Was this texting situation real? Do we start exploring things, or were we just bored?
Well, it's a last second call here.
Yeah.
We're looking for the buzzer beater. About a week left.
Yep.
Before Christmas arrives.
Which one will you, if you're single, find yourself in? The Christmas textationship, the Christmas party crush, or the hometown throwback?
Is anybody able to muster up a relationship in the last 7 days before Christmas?
Let's see.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
I saw a quote, just a little phrase that I really loved over the weekend, and that is, don't make a comment, make a difference. Does that feel like it speaks to anybody else the way that it speaks to me?
What's it saying to you?
And what it's saying is that, for many of us, you think if you polled somebody and asked, like, what are your strongest convictions? What is the stuff you see going on in the news or whatever that riles you up the most? And then you asked a follow-up to that. Okay, what have you done about it? Most people, probably the most they would say is, yeah, I've commented online, especially people like big Facebook people. They're going to be like, yeah, I post about it on Facebook. But that's, for most people, I would say, probably the beginning and end of it.
The extent that they go to.
Yeah. But I mean, let's think about it. When you're commenting online, when you're posting whatever it is, do you think you're actually making a difference? I don't think it never makes a difference, but I think by and large, if that's the extent, the farthest reaches you're willing to go to actually to actually try to make a change for something you care about, it's probably not, because how many times have you had your mind changed by a comment online? We all know the truth that answer is probably pretty close to zero. The comments might make you feel better, but if you actually care about whatever it is that you supposedly care about, then you got to do more than just make a comment. And in fact, I think a lot of time the comment, like depending on what you're saying on there, it could be more harmful than beneficial.
Oh, the boomerang effect, pushing them farther
That's
away.
right. I love that. The boomerang effect. Yeah, where just the fact that you come in there all on your high horse, like, how can you think this when it's actually this? And then just because of your tone with it and the way that people are reading it, because we all like read other people's comments in the most angriest way possible, you're probably pushing people further away from whatever your idea is of what is the right thing. So don't make a comment. Make a difference. Think about what things that you can do that can actually push the ball forward, make a meaningful difference. Now, part of the reason I think a lot of us don't do that is because it feels like that feels so impossible. You're just one person. How can you actually make a difference? Well, when it's something really important, one, I think there's other people that you'll be able to find if you start looking that are also putting in the work, because there are people out there for whatever, any cause. There's people out there putting in the work. I always admire those people that like dedicate their lives to a cause. There's people out there, and you don't have to dedicate your whole life to it, but chip in a little bit. And when you have a relationship with Jesus, that's an important part of it too, because Jesus, one of the things he will do for you is move you to action, where you talk stuff out with him. You're like, hey, this is really bothering me. Here's something going on. I don't like seeing it. I want something to change. Jesus is going to move you and push you in the direction of ways that you can actually change. And then you've got God on your side, so he's going to help as well. If you want to know more about that, first of all, start talking to God. Air out, make your comments to him of, I can't believe this is happening. I wish I could change this. Start airing that out with him and see where he leads you. See where he takes you. You want to know more? Check out RadioU.com/free gift.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Outside of the Browns, what is your top football headline from the weekend?
I mean, for me, it has to be the Buffalo Bills rolling over the Cowboys.
Yeah, they housed them.
Many people left the Bills for dead weeks ago, thinking their season was over. Josh Allen and Buffalo have made that not quite the case, as they are now playing for a playoff berth and a team that I don't think anyone would want to see right about now in December.
Yeah, I really like the way the Bills are playing. I felt very vindicated, too, with the Bills not only beating the Cowboys, but stomping them. I said last week, to you at least, that last week was the Cowboys' peak. That was their Super Bowl. Everything was setting up for them to beat the Eagles. They were coming off a long week. The Eagles had been through a battering ram of good opponents. The Cowboys had extra time off at home. Everything was setting up for them to win that game and look good doing it. And then this week, they come falling right back down to earth. Dak Prescott did not look MVP level at all. So I think it was the Cowboys getting stomped, not being able to stop the run whatsoever against the Bills. They seem to be in a little bit of trouble.
Oh, the Cowboys?
Yeah,
they're not in trouble.
Just as I suspected.
They're a lock for the playoffs. They'll be just fine.
But they just went from, we could get the 1 seed to you're going to be the 5 seed. And you're going to have to go. You may not get a home game the entire playoffs, no matter how many games you win. That's trouble for those guys.
Yeah, but in the first round, they're going to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or Saints or Falcons. Whoever comes out of the NFC South, the Cowboys are still looking good. But I think this says more about people should be worried about the Bills in the AFC, because if they're your wild card matchup, you are going to be in trouble. Yeah,
that's for sure. Another headline from the weekend would be a little less on the field, a little more up in the family suite, and that is Taylor Swift. People are saying she became a real football fan over the weekend. I don't know if you saw the highlight of her. It was after Travis Kelce, a seemingly possibly missed pass interference call in the end zone against the Patriots, where he falls to the ground, and then the camera flashes to Taylor Swift up in the suite, and she's clearly yelling an expletive because
Taylor.
Yeah, I know, dirty mouth, sailor's mouth on that one. And so people are saying, like, now if she's shouting at the refs, cursing because they're missing calls, that like she's not just cheering for Travis. She's like a real football fan now. That's what you or I would do. Well, we wouldn't curse, of course.
Not much of a yeller at the refs.
But no, come on.
What are you talking about?
You get upset at the refs.
I would never. I was a gentleman in Cleveland this past Sunday. Golf claps for me.
Swift,
just golf claps.
Just becoming even more relatable as she, like so many of us, can't control her emotions when it comes to her team, at least her man.
Other headlines, Bengals still in it. Even without Joe Burrow winning in overtime against the Vikings, the Lions bounce back to beat the Broncos. Colts get a big win to stay alive in the AFC South against the Steelers. The Dolphins roll over the Jets. New York season is not looking good. And then the 49ers roll. Might be the best team after crushing the Cardinals. So big weekend in NFL. Last night, Ravens blew out the Jags as well.
Yeah, I didn't stay for that one. What do you think the odds are? This is my last question. By the way, TJ says Travis Flopsy.
It was a flop. I agree.
He's good at that, but where are you getting your puns from? Nene?
I like that one.
He's routine. My last question is, what do you think the odds are that a backup quarterback wins the Super Bowl at this point? And if Brock Purdy does it, does that count?
It's not Brock Purdy. It's Joe Flacco, baby. Don says, how about them Brownies? Amazing game. I mean, I could listen to this all Monday morning after games like that. Another win. 9-5.
Who do the Browns play this week?
We've got the Houston Texans.
Oh, I'm a big Texans fan. All of a
Joe
sudden.
Flacco and the boys.
Just so I don't have to listen to this.
The fourth stringer coming in. Another win. I cannot wait.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
Picture into how different our lives are from a multi-billionaire.
I can imagine many different ways.
You want to take a look at some of the stuff that a billionaire has to deal with? Here's what one billionaire has to deal with. I don't know if you're familiar with the luxury brand. I believe it's pronounced Hermes. Is that how you say it?
I can't be sure.
It looks like Hermes or maybe Hermes, but I believe it's pronounced Hermes. They have a man named Nicholas Pooch. I also don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he is the heir to the legendary Hermes fashion house. But he's 81 years old, doesn't have any children. So he's getting to the point where he's really got to start thinking about who is going to be his heir to inherit the Hermes fashion house and all the billions of dollars that go with it. He is currently trying to set things up so that he can adopt somebody to take over. He has to adopt somebody as a child, but he's trying to adopt his 51-year-old gardener so that he can leave the estate to this gardener.
How long has this gardener been working here?
It's tough to say. According to what I've been reading here, it looks like in Switzerland, which is where this is going to take place, to be able to adopt an adult, you have to prove that you had a relationship with this adult when they were a child, when they were still a minor.
Okay.
So supposedly, this gardener, who's now 51 years old, they're going to have to go back over 30 years and say he was gardening for me or for my family or for whatever back in those days when he was still a minor. Or else they likely won't be able to push this through. However, at the same time, if you've got tens of billions of dollars, maybe the courts don't really care and they're just like, give me $1 billion and I'll say, yes, you can adopt a 51-year-old. Now, there could be some things that stand in the way. For example, he's previously pledged to leave his fortune to the Isocrates Foundation, which is an organization he established to combat misinformation. So if he does continue on with adopting this gardener and trying to leave everything to him, that organization, which he founded, may sue and try to drag it out so that he can't do that.
So he's going to be sued by his own foundation.
Because he's not leaving them money anymore. Possibly.
Sounds kind of greedy if you ask me.
What a wild
He
wild
founded
world.
it.
Yeah. Without you, he was nothing. Or no, without him, you're nothing.
Imagine being this gardener, though.
I know.
mean, right place at the right time.
Yeah, that's right. A little gardening goes a long way. They watered that seed all these years, and now it's panning out. I also see here that even if he doesn't adopt the gardener, the gardener is still getting at least half of his fortune. So the gardener's still involved. It's just they can give him more.
Got it, the whole thing.
Yeah, if he's actually adopted. And so the gardener, no matter how things shake out, probably going to be inheriting about $43 million a year. That's the worst case scenario for the gardener.
Dang, and he's counting down the days probably.
Yeah.
If you're this gardener, 51 years old, and you've just been gardening for this famous family this whole time, this rich family, and then you're like, before long, I'm going to finally, it's all going to pan out for me.
Yeah.
I need to get into gardening.
One day my ship will come in.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Bradley Cooper, he's got his new movie coming out. I don't know if you've heard about it. Maestro. Feels like it's being very heavily promoted, or at least he's good at kind of getting some weird headlines. One of his headlines that's out there now is that in a recent interview he was doing with Spike Lee, another fellow director, Bradley Cooper says when he's doing movies, he does not allow chairs on the movie set at all. He says, I've always hated chairs. I feel like your energy dips the minute you sit down in the chair. So he keeps them away from his movie sets.
That doesn't even seem right.
You don't think it's right that your energy dips?
No chance. No, I think it's just, there's no way that he doesn't keep chairs on set.
He doesn't keep chairs.
That's like, there's like a union. That has to be a violation.
That's not. I don't think that's written up in any contracts. Do you?
You don't think so? That you can't sit during any kind of production?
Why would he lie about it?
I just think that that's inaccurate. There's no chance. You're telling me that there's not a single chair on set for somebody who's exhausted to sit down? Impossible.
He says you can sit on
union violation.
He says you can sit on an apple box.
An apple box?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Those are typical. Apple box is a typical movie thing that'll be like something you stand on to get, like it'll be out of the shot. But if you've got a short actor and a tall actor, you can equal them out with an apple box. So that kind of thing. You need those. And so you can pop a squat on
See,
an
for
apple
me,
box.
I would be annoyed by this.
So I was wondering, how do you think RadioU would fare if we had no chairs? What if it was just not even no chairs in the whole building? What if it was no chairs while you're doing your show? You had to stand up the whole time.
For 3 hours?
Yeah.
For 6 hours? For 10 hours? However long it is. For 1 hour would be a lot to handle. I would be okay with it, but I'd be tired and I'd be complaining.
But you think about it, though. There's a lot of professions where you don't sit.
Yeah.
Construction workers.
Don't sit.
When I worked at Panera, you know what they said? This is every food industry worker has heard this before. If you can lean, you can clean. There's no time for sitting. If you're sitting down, that means you're not working, which is a problem. They care less about your energy dipping and just them getting their $14 out an hour out of you. All I'm saying is it's not that unusual. Is it that beneficial? That's tough to say.
I mean, you're acting. This isn't like you're not working in a store where people are coming up to you. Like when it's your scene, you get up and you go in there and you act. And when your scene's not going on, you're sitting on the sidelines.
You can't be sluggish, coming in, because then that's more takes that they have to do. Waste everybody's time.
See, I feel as if once you get to a certain level of professionalism that you would think that Bradley Cooper would reach by now, that once you go in, you would be ready to roll.
You just flip a switch?
I mean, if somebody told me, this is how it is for me. If somebody told me, oh, no, you have to be standing to do radio or else you're going to stink, I would say, how the heck did I get this far if I've been doing sitting the whole time?
But then what if they said, think about how much, they could say that. What if they said, think about how much better you'd be if you were standing the whole time?
That's a good way. And you know what I would say? Don't care.
You're good enough the way it is.
I would say I'm pretty content with my sitting. If you want me to stand, I'm going to be a little bit irritable the whole time I go in there.
I'll tell you, when I did the show, when I was doing solo shows, I would stand when I was talking at least. But now with the two of us, that'd be really weird.
Should we stand tomorrow?
We'd have to adjust the cameras for our YouTube channel.
So you there? I mean, we can't.
We can't.
We'd love to. We can't.
Maybe if Bradley Cooper comes in here and does that for us.
He's out.
Yeah.
He would never make it at RadioU. No chance. We would get annoyed of him immediately.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.